So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots.
Fuck off!
Welcome to America's Top DEI podcast, where every Tuesday and Thursday, we're just trying to be Americans that can both bitch about things and find joy.
That's right, because we are uplifting. This should really be in the self-help motivational category.
There's no question about it. I mean, thought leaders. or should we be called unthought leaders?
Right, unthought leaders.
Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, so what I've had it with is the influencer mentality when it comes to photos. And what I mean by that is the 27 photos, then I have to look at them, then I don't like those, so I give it back. We take 27 more photos, and this just continues on. Like, just take a photo. You look the same. Unless your eyes are closed, we don't need 50. I was at a game the other night. There was no place to go. There was a rail behind me. This girl wanted to take a picture with my girlfriend that I was there with. So I leaned down. So I'm like laying on my side so they can take this picture. And so her friend takes the picture, gives it to her. She looks at the picture. She decides, no, that's not right. Gives it back to her. They do it again. Now, this is now I'm up to 90 minutes laying on my side in a stadium seat. Hands it back to her the third time. And I just stood up and said, that is enough. That is plenty of photos. And she acted like I was the asshole. And I was like, bitch, I am not the asshole. You have been sitting here. You probably have 100 pictures of the two of you that you're never going to use. And you're doing this because you have this influencer mentality that more pictures is better, regardless of what it's doing to everybody around you. The lack of self-awareness in influencer mentality is staggering to me.
Well, I have a couple of follow-up questions.
Okay.
Number one, I'm shocked that the influencer didn't want her photograph with you, considering you're America's greatest legal mind, top legal eagle, head beaver in charge. So that, first and foremost, tells you that she doesn't know shit from Shinella.
I agree.
Secondly, when you very bravely and courageously drew a boundary and said, that is enough, what was her reaction? Break it down for us.
Okay, so I sat up first and put my hand up and I said, that is enough. That is plenty. I looked at her. I looked at her friend that was taking the picture. And it was dumbfounded shock. Like the face went blank. Like I was speaking a language they did not understand. And then it was, you're such a bitch.
How old are these people?
I'm going to say, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. They were too old. Like my daughter does that shit, but she's in college. I'd say 30, Kylie's age-ish. So not grossly too young, too old, but 30-ish, maybe 29, but not like a baby college girl.
Yeah, no, I think that the days of, remember when we used to have those disposable cameras?
Yeah, got one shot.
It's one and done. And then you'd go to Walgreens and get them processed and then you'd get them. And then those were your photos.
That was it.
That's what you had. And now it becomes like the phone, I think it becomes this companion that negates any sort of just focus on what you're doing. Like you have to see everything through the potential of what your followers might want to see.
Right.
If you're watching a sporting event, if you're taking a picture, if you're having a lunch, it's all done for these extra passengers that nobody knows that live on the internet. And it just seems to, it's reduced intimacy and it's reduced like being present in the moments.
Right. Because I can't video something and watch it. I have to either watch it or decide I'm going to video it. I don't have the skill set to do that. But I look around and everybody records everything all the time. So just because I can't do that, I'm thinking, are they enjoying the moment? Or are they enjoying just watching it through their video camera?
I mean, I'll tell you, Game 7, of the NBA Finals, I was there sitting next to my sons, and the last 30 seconds, we all got out and we recorded the last 30 seconds of the countdown to where we won. And I was able to feel it and watch it, and I wanted that like moment because it's an iconic moment, Game 7.
Totally iconic.
Now, the people sitting around me, they filmed a lot of it, but I could tell it was kind of for their own, library or what have you. But no, the phones are just these constant companions. But I think what you're talking about is even more niche. And it's the people who are experiencing things through the lens of what their followers online, whom they don't even know, would want to see. And that just becomes like, who are we doing all this shit for? Like the 95 photographs that you had to do, who is that for? Other than to torture America's greatest legal mind and Head Beaver in charge. That's the only thing I see that they accomplished there.
I completely agree. And I think you make a great point that she didn't want a picture with me. So obviously she's not that big of an influencer.
Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you what I've had it with. I've had it with crusty white man humor.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example. We're at the aforementioned Game 7, and it's my son Roman, then me, and then my son Dylan. And this white man comes to sit, and his seat is right next to Dylan. And he walks up to Dylan, and he's putting on a shirt because you have to put on your shirt so we're all unified in the stadium. And he says to Dylan, "Oh, you want me to hit you here?" What? Like as he's putting his shirt on, like kind of. And he goes, "Maybe I'll hit you like this. You think your mom would like that? Maybe we do a little hook." And we're all like, yeah. And he just keeps going on and on. And it's always the same crusty, unfunny white men that have never been told, "Look, buddy, you're not funny."
Right.
It's the reason why your wife looks upset right now because she's had to endure years of this feigned comedic routine. It's the reason that we're not laughing hard. And white men do a lot of this stuff with impunity. If you and I were to crack some joke that wasn't funny, women, typically you're kind of checked on it. Well, that's not really that funny. Or look at the comedian here.
Yeah.
But this particular breed of white men, nobody hardly ever checks them. So here's the thing, listener. There's so many things we need to fight right now in the United States of America. Some seem like a mountain way too big to climb, like how do we get Trump out of office? What did we do with the 77 million triple Trumpers? And I would just take my deduction skills to say the guy who thinks he's the stand-up comedian, at the Thunder game, I bet he's a triple Trumper.
100%.
And I just think on a micro level, when somebody starts doing that, particularly a crusty, old white guy, smacks his mouth, that kind of guy. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
There's all those type of white guys, there's always a. So I just think we say, "Oh, look who's the comedian," just as deadpan as possible. And just to check them a little bit. You're not funny. You're not funny at all. Your joke's not funny. It's the same kind of guy that, like, if you're wearing distressed blue jeans, every time I have on distressed blue jeans, crusty old white guy walks up and he goes, "You need to maybe get some new jeans. You worn them jeans a lot?" And I'm like, it's hilarious. It's just, I've had it with these crusty old white guys trying to make jokes. Most of the time, they're kind of weirdly either insulting or aggressive.
Yeah, or sexist kind of in a way.
And so I've had it with them. My son and I, he looked at me, I looked at him, we rolled our eyes, and I said, "Never become that, Dylan. That is an example of whom I never, ever want you to become."
Well, I think we've given white men the affirmative action of the fact that they're white men. So we do polite laughter for these stupid jokes and we entertain the stupidness of it just because, we're so ingrained with the patriarchy, especially, me growing up in such a firm Christian household. But I'll tell you what else I've had it with when it comes to white guys. So we're sitting at that same game and there's this old guy. He's older than me, probably 15 years.
Pretty old.
No, yeah, I mean, 70s-ish.
Right.
And every time our team doesn't do something, he goes ballistic. Like, "You can't do that. You need to get your head in the game." Like all this shit. And I wanted to go, "Dude, you're 70 years old. These are elite athletes on the floor of the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Shut the fuck up.
This is the same guy that I guarantee you is a gravy seal. He's the guy that sits at home on Facebook talking about how badass he is and kicking people out of the country. If you don't like America, you can get the fuck out. And that always rubs me when you see these men that you know are not even remotely athletic, not even remotely. I mean, they probably never made a sports team in their life. And then they arrive in front of these NBA players. And even if it's the worst player on the worst team, he could have kicked that geriatric piece of shit all over the court. I mean, you're talking about less than 1% of all basketball players ever in this league. I've had it with that too. Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie, the HBIC. That stands for Beaver.
And we're America's Top DEI podcast. We always like to check in with the lesbians. Kylie.
Hi. Hi, straights. And asexuals.
Yeah. Because I'm part of the LGBTQIA+.
You're the A.
I'm the A.
You're the A.
Okay, I've got some reviews for you.
Okay.
And this first one, Jennifer, I think is meant to trigger the fuck out of you.
Oh, God, this is a centrist.
Jennifer, the voice of centrist reason. I love I've Had It, especially because Jennifer brings such a calm, balanced, middle-of-the-road perspective to every topic. You can always count on her to see both sides and avoid extremes. Truly the centrist queen we never knew we needed. Whether she's defending the most reasonable, inoffensive takes or offering a perfectly measured response to hot-button issues, Jennifer is a beacon of neutrality in a polarized world. Some may say she's a little too level-headed, but I say, finally, a moderate icon. Angie's hilarious, of course, but Jennifer's centrist wisdom, chef's kiss, never change.
That is so good.
That's great.
That is hilarious. That is so fucking funny. I mean, that's very well written. I love deadpan humor.
Love.
Your review is chef's kiss. The humor is not lost on me. I live for that kind of humor. Love it. No notes.
How did he come in with just, Jennifer's such a centrist? It would be a completely different take by you.
Okay, the next one is 5 stars titled Titty Babies Be Hatin'. And they write, after reading the haters of this pod who are obviously triggered, I now know exactly what a titty baby is. Jennifer and Pumps have amazing chemistry that reminds me of me and my own bestie. The stories of Josh, Pumps vaping in public, both had me laughing out loud in the gym. These women are the levity I need during this final Trump term before we take America back. Hashtag, if you know, you know.
It's true. You find out what titty babies are. And, you know, the titty babies, like when you think about people that are triggered by pride flags and like the whole reason we're bombing Iran is because 70 million people were upset about 7 trans athletes out of 500,000 in the NCAA, and they're upset about pronouns on an email. I mean, like, it's just these people are so triggered about shit that zero affects their lives. Zero. And the shit that does affect their lives, they don't care about because they're so easy to manipulate, and their default setting is outrage, rage baiting, hysterics. These are a bunch of hysterical queens.
You're exactly right. I mean, between the rage and the outrage, it's just absolutely, I mean, like, they sit there and say, oh, well, we're going to own the libs and they're so sensitive and all that. And I'm like, you say one thing about MAGA and they cry like a 5-year-old. I never even could believe what a big bunch of beta males this is.
Okay, now let's move to the news. I have an interesting article I want to share with you all and get everybody's feedback. And in the comment section, I want everybody's feedback because I think this is a super important question. Kylie popped this up. The ethicist writes, I had an affair with a politician who denies being gay. Do I keep his secret?
Well, I'm going to say absolutely not. And I'm dying to know who it is.
Well, it's obviously Lindsey Graham.
Right.
Josh Hawley. Mike Johnson.
I mean, that's the thing. There's so many
Rick
choices.
Scott.
So many
J.D.
choices.
Vance. Shall I go on? Okay, so this is how I feel about this. This is a very nuanced, deep kind of thing. Because for a lot of gay people, the experience of coming out is really painful, and it's centered around shame and self-loathing. And so a lot of people within the gay movement, gay activists, say you should never out somebody because, they're self-loathing and blah, blah, and it's not our place. And then you hear actors that have come out say that sometimes, like in the press, they'll be like, so are you out now? And they're just like, because that's not a part of the heterosexual experience. Having somebody talk about your sexuality. I never had to go on a tour to tell people I'm heterosexual. And so a lot of this is just the way I just described is just further marginalizing to these people. But here's where I see this. When you have anti-gay politicians that vote against human rights for anybody or any member of the LGBTQIA plus community, present company included, pumps the asexual. And they're rage baiting, hate baiting, bigot baiting, fueling homophobia and transphobia, and then act like they are on the moral high ground. And that they're doing gay stuff on the side. I have to say, in this state of affairs of America, if they are in a position of power to squash other people's rights while simultaneously doing gay stuff, we need to reveal the gay stuff.
I completely agree with everything you just said. I think when you look at it on a private level, I agree with everything you said. But when you come out against people and you put into place laws that dehumanize them, and yet that is how you experience the world sexually, that the hypocrisy is where I think the line is drawn for me.
Yes, and especially as we keep descending into authoritarianism and fascism, one of the plays that these autocrats do, dictators like Trump and the people surrounding them, is they tend to stoke something that makes average people get scared. And so they use, the gay agenda. They're trying to indoctrinate your kids into queer ideology and gender ideology, and they're whacking wieners off. And you need to be scared of this. You need to be very, very scared, and you need to have control over everything your children is exposed to. And we're going to ban the books. And so I just think if anybody has had sexual relations with the following, you need to come out as a true patriot right now. And here's my list, and it can be added to, and you can comment in the comment section. Of course, Lindsey Graham.
Obviously.
Tim Scott, Josh Hawley.
Josh Hawley's sitting right there.
And Moses Mike Johnson.
Moses Mike would be my number one because everybody knows Lindsey Graham's gay.
There's also, and I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody involved in the Signal chat that followed gay porn sites on Twitter. We covered it on iHip News, and I can't remember exactly which one it was, but this is somebody who's a part of the most homophobic administration of my lifetime. Yes. I've never seen such a homophobic administration. They've closed down the youth LGBTQIA suicide hotline. The White House has closed that down, and this White House refused to celebrate or acknowledge Pride Month. And so anybody in the administration or on the right side of politics that votes against people having the same rights as everybody else and wants to demonize and promote hate, I say do your patriotic duty. And if you've done a slap and tickle, or if you've done gay stuff with any of these people that we've mentioned, it needs to come out. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind our listener of this. A couple years ago, when the Moms of Liberty thing came out, there was this gal named Bridget. Okay, she was the big leader of the Moms of Liberty. Bridget and her husband, big MAGA, big triple Trumpers. I mean, American flags all around them.
So worried about kids and
worried about the kids. All this. Well, it turns out that Bridget liked to do gay stuff with another lady and her husband. They did a little menage a trois. And I think our world is better off knowing that the Moms of Liberty is a hotbed of lesbianism, and they are trying to disguise their own lesbianism by banning books and trying to demean normal lesbians,
Right.
like Kylie, who's completely out of the closet. So I'm on to you, Moms of Liberty. I know that it's a ruse for covering up a hotbed of lesbian activity, such as Bridget. And I just think anybody out there that has had gay relations with any of these anti-gay MAGA politicians, let's bring it out.
Let's bring it out. And if you
Bring it
have
out.
receipts, we need to see those too.
Yes. Okay. One more story here. This is very alarming. A listener DM'd this to me and brought it to my attention. He said, you need to drop all of your anti-Trump activities and focus the podcast solely on stopping this. No,
What?
grandma showers shouldn't be a thing. Put up the next slide. In case you missed it, a grandma shower trend is making headlines again, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A full-blown baby shower for the grandmother to be. Registry, gifts, games, the works. For someone who is not giving birth.
This is more than I can take. Like, I think because of this right here, all showers for any baby should now be banned because they have ruined it. They have ruined it. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're in a society where everybody has to be, a part of everything. They can't just say, okay, the mother, the one who's giving birth, has a shower. Now we've got to do grandmothers because they're so needy for attention and it's so performative. That goes all through me. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I just think that is such a level of narcissism. I mean, like, I can't even imagine that you would send out an invitation for that and that people would receive the invitation, go buy gifts, and then attend this complete nonsense. I can't even wrap my head around it. And it makes me like, sometimes I think grandparents, a lot of times I think grandparents wholly overstep into their children's lives of parenting their kids. And the grandparents are to simply be that, grandparents. But you can see it, like, in my raising kids, I always saw the grandparents that overstepped and felt like they had to be the one to teach the grandkids lessons and dictate their lives. It's a very toxic dynamic. And I guarantee you it's those same grandmothers that are having these grandma showers.
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's gross.
That is absolutely disgusting. All right, listen, we have a very important guest today. He is the House Democratic leader in the United States House of Representatives, and his name is Hakeem Jeffries. So let's get Hakeem Jeffries on I've Had It podcast. Pumps and I need to share with everybody that we have written a book. It's called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. And believe it or not, Pumps and I have not always been so rock solid, and we talk about all of our trials, tribulations, most of all our fuck-ups. Yes, because fuck-ups are relatable and a part of the human experience.
I have gotten so much feedback regarding the book that because of my situation with the religion and addiction and all that people relate to that. So I do think there's something to take away that's comforting about it because we've all been in very difficult situations.
And listener, what we want you to do, this is the it book for summer reading. So please get your copy of Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches and take a picture of yourself with the book in really great places and tag at I've Had It podcast, and we will share your images with our summer it book. You can buy it in bookstores. You can buy it in the link in our bio. You can buy it at Target, Walmart, Amazon, etc. All the retailers. Happy reading and happy summer. Okay, Pumps, we're always inundated with, you got to take this, you got to take that. And I've taken fish oil supplements because I heard omega-3s were good for me. But honestly, I had no idea if it was doing anything. Then I took a simple quiz and it showed me that my fish oil probably wasn't making me healthier. If you're taking an omega-3 supplement, answer these 3 questions. Has it lowered your blood pressure or cholesterol? Has it helped ease joint pain or stiffness? Has it reduced inflammation or swelling? If your answer is no or maybe, then you're not alone. I didn't feel any difference until I upgraded to Native Path Antarctic krill oil, And here's why. Pumps tell them.
Fish oil has some omega-3s, but Native Path krill oil goes a step further. Krill oil has a powerful antioxidant called acetaxanthin, and once I started taking it, I could feel the difference. We got you up to 66% off, free shipping, and a 365-day money-back guarantee. If you don't feel a real difference in your health, you get your money back, no questions asked. But this special offer is only available at getnativepath.com/hadit. That's getnativepath.com/hadit. One more time, getnativepath.com/hadit.
Listen up, cat lovers. I know that you will do anything and everything to keep your cats healthy. You'll get them the best treats, the best food, the best toys. And of course, one of the best things you could possibly do is to use our sponsor, Pretty Litter. It's the best litter and a total game changer. Pretty Litter helps monitor your cat's health, detecting abnormalities in your cat's urine by testing acidity and alkalinity levels and showing the visible presence of blood. Pretty Litter ships free right to my door. It's non-toxic, pet safe, and household friendly. Plus, it's low dust, controls odors, and lasts for up to 1 month. Listener, right now, save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy at prettylitter.com/hadit. That's prettylitter.com/hadit to save 20% off your first order, and you get that free cat toy. prettylitter.com/hadit. Pretty Litter cannot detect every feline health issue or prevent or diagnose diseases. A diagnosis can only come from a licensed veterinarian. Terms and conditions apply. Please see site for details. Okay, guys, let's welcome to I've Had It podcast, a very popular person, a very well-known person, and I'm just so happy he decided to come on our podcast. It is House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Leader Jeffries, how are you today?
Good. Great to be with you.
It's great to have you. We, on this podcast, we like to talk about petty grievances, which I think are abundant. And then we also like to talk about big grievances. So I think you're the perfect candidate for our podcast. But let's start with the petty. What have you had it with?
Had it with the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, they suck.
They have knocked the New York Knicks out of the playoffs in back-to-back years, have been aggressive in the manner in which they've communicated, of course, on court and off court as it relates to that. And I'm just done with the Pacers.
Well, lucky for you, the Thunder took out the Pacers. So now,
congratulations. That was a big victory and a wonderful thing for the franchise.
yes,
Yeah,
we were super excited.
We were there last night, and I just so that you can get a little by proxy satisfaction, I'll tell you what my 18-year-old son did next to me. So third quarter, Thunder just takes over the game, right? And there's a lot of Indiana Pacers in the Oklahoma City Thunder arena, more than I thought there was going to be. But right across from us is a big concentration of them, and Reggie Miller's sitting there. And so my 18-year-old son just gets out his Snapchat, and we had just gone on a run. We're up 20 at this point, right? I mean, it's pain, and they're holding up their yes, sirs signs. And so my son Roman is just zooming in on all of their faces and then zooming back out, zooming back in and zooming back out. And it's just what we've all felt as fans. It's the pain. And it's something about sports when you've been the person in pain, but when you see your opponent in that pain, there's something satisfying about it.
You kind of like it.
Especially when it's Indiana Pacer fans.
Yeah, so then we started saying, no sirs, no sirs, no sirs, no sirs, because smack talking in sports is just so fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, there's been a longstanding rivalry with the Pacers and the Knicks, of course, that goes back to the Reggie Miller days, as you referenced Reggie Miller, and, during the Patrick Ewing, Pat Riley era. And there was some great series that went back and forth. But over the last couple of years, of course, Pacers having knocked us out twice. They knocked us out the last time we were in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think that was in 2000. And of course, they knocked us out during the Carmelo Anthony era. Mm-hmm. And so I'm done. I've had it, right? we just have to, right the ship next year. I mean, I'd love to see a championship from the New York Knicks, but what might even be more satisfying, of course, is just beat the Indiana Pacers the next time we face them in the playoffs.
No, sirs. No, sirs. No, it's basketball is so much fun. But okay, let's shift gears a little bit. And, it's quite a time to be alive in this country. And of course, over the weekend, the convicted felon president of the United States, Donald Trump, joined with Iran based on propaganda from Benjamin Netanyahu, 30-year-old propaganda. And this brings back PTSD of when the United States of America was the propagandist and took us into wars. And George W. Bush lowered taxes and took us to war at the same time, which is a huge part of the deficit. Another part of the deficit is President Taco Tits, is what I like to call him, adding the tax cut for all these billionaires. And it seems like his decision-making is always America last, but gaslighting that he's America first. So what do you have to say about him making this decision without taking the facts to Congress first?
Yeah, he had a constitutional responsibility to come to the United States Congress and make the case for the use of military force in this fashion. Now, of course, America always reserves the right, and that can be exercised by any president and has by Democratic presidents or Republican presidents to take defensive action in the face of an imminent threat. And while we certainly agree that Iran can never be allowed to become nuclear capable as a nuclear power, they view us, they are a sworn enemy of the United States of America, view us as the great Satan, as opposed to the leader of the free world. Donald Trump has presented zero evidence that there was an imminent threat to the United States that justified offensive military action. So we're going to have a classified briefing that will involve all members of the House of Representatives tomorrow, and he'll have an opportunity through the top members of the administration to make that case. But I'm skeptical that they have evidence to justify this type of strike in the absence of the constitutional responsibility of getting authorization from the Congress. The other thing is that Donald Trump, as he often does, lies, misrepresents, blusters, as you indicated, gaslights, says that the Iranian nuclear program has been completely and totally, I think he said, decimated or obliterated. There's no evidence of that right now either.
Well, and there's no evidence that they had a nuke. And if you look at the information from Benjamin Netanyahu for the last 30 years, he's been saying the exact same propaganda. And I think the American public is a lot savvier now and knows that what happened when we were the propagandists, when Colin Powell went to the United Nations and lied on behalf of the United States of America and took us into war and hundreds of thousands of people died and added to our national deficit. This is a serious time, but we have the most unserious dipshit as the president of the United States. I mean, nobody likes this guy unless they're in the cult or work for him. And I am just so fucking mad all the time that this guy gets away with all of this stuff with impunity. And you see during the No Kings March, millions of people march with pride against this guy and for our country. And I think we had more people that showed up in Oklahoma City at our No Kings March than showed up at that dipshit's birthday party. And I just think that you have the weakest American president ever who's getting manipulated by Benjamin Netanyahu. And I think the American public is clued in as to, are we really going to align with somebody who is killing civilians in Gaza, killing kids, bombing hospitals? But we're the leader of the free world? Are we the leader of the free world when we're taking people out of here without due process, when we're in my state demanding that the 10 Commandments be in every classroom? I'm not religious. That's my right. Are we really the leader of the free world anymore? I mean, what do you think about that, Leader Jeffries?
Well, Donald Trump certainly is not conducting himself in that fashion. If anything, he continues to play footsie with some of the worst actors across the world, including, his on-again, off-again flirtation with Vladimir Putin, when we should just clearly and decisively stand on the side of the Ukrainian people. So the Middle East has been a complex, situation. And obviously, Israel has a right to defend itself against Iranian aggression. That's clear. Now,
hang on, I want to stop.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody says Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to defend itself. And as an American and a Democratic voter, I always feel like I've been propagandized to this. And so I kind of thought, oh, okay, yeah, they believe in democracy and blah, blah. But then when I see what Benjamin Netanyahu has done to Gaza, if you're a person with a conscience and even an ounce of empathy, it's horrifying to bomb kids, hospitals, civilians, and then deny food to go in. They've killed members of the press. And then we sit. I ask myself at this point, who's the terrorist now? Who's terrorizing whom?
Well, I think let's break down, sort of the Middle East in different aspects. In terms of Gaza, what clearly has to happen there is we have to get back to the ceasefire that had been negotiated by President Biden, that Donald Trump allegedly accepted and tried to claim credit for. Now, that ceasefire has lapsed, and that's a problem because you got two things that need to happen immediately. The hostages need to be released, and humanitarian aid needs to be surged to the civilians in Gaza who have been in harm's way for far too long through no fault of their own. And it can't be on again, off again humanitarian assistance. It has to be massive and continuous in order to meet the needs of the people who have been suffering, as you've indicated, for a long period of time. And we need an actual commitment to get to a two-state solution where you have a safe and secure Israel living side by side with a Palestinian state with dignity and self-determination for the Palestinian people. That's what has to happen. And in order to do that, we obviously are going to have to surge, meaning the free world or the Gulf states or the moderate Arab states like Egypt and Jordan, who will need to lead this effort, massive reconstruction in Gaza. So that's the situation there. In terms of the Iranian threat, what's been interesting is that, Hamas is on the run. Hezbollah's been devastated. All of this happened during President Biden's administration. And now you have the nuclear threat with Iran. Now, during the administration of President Obama, you had a situation where Iran was inside of 3 months in terms of becoming nuclear capable. So that presented a dilemma. And what President Obama did was bring along our European allies, along with China and Russia, into a negotiation with Iran to get Iran to agree to dismantle its nuclear program. And as a result of that agreement, which they were complying with and was working, including into the first parts of the Trump administration, the capacity for Iran to become nuclear capable went from inside of 3 months to outside of a year, making the entire world safer. And then Donald Trump decides, perhaps for ideological reasons, his extreme reasons, and his dislike for anything that was successfully done by President Barack Obama, to break that agreement. Iran didn't break that agreement. Donald Trump chose to break that agreement. And as a result of that, Iran was freed from the constraints that they were under in terms of their nuclear program, and it put them into a position where they were much closer under Donald Trump's presidency than they had ever been before.
But do we know that? Do we know that for sure? And it sounds like we don't know that because Tulsi Gabbard says one thing, Donald Trump says something else. And to me, it looks like this. This is the way I see it as a person that lives right in the middle of the United States of America. Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to hang on to power, and he knows the optics of what he has done and the war crimes that he has committed in Gaza are horrible. And even people that were supporters of Israel now have a hard time stomaching seeing what they're doing there. And so in a typical politician way, he's wagging the dog and he started a war. And Donald Trump is the weakest, most impulsive, easy to manipulate man on the planet. And Bibi attacked, and he put his leash on Donald Trump and walked him right over. And our taxpayer money is going over there. And you have this narrative. I heard people on CNN saying, oh, they treat gays terribly in Iran. And they do. They absolutely do. But do you know what the evangelicals in Bible Belt America want to do to gays? About the same thing. So we have a religious fundamentalist problem right here in the United States of America, and they have penetrated the federal government. We just played a video on our news podcast this morning of the White House Faith Office praying in the parking lot, doing a little tongue talking. So they're religious fanatics too. So I think it's just this American arrogance that we're not even looking at the problems with our democracy and the disparity in the way people of color are treated and the regressive nature of the MAGA movement, yet we want to propagandize to the world that we're this great world leader and beacon of democracy when we're taking our democracy with this horrible piece of shit, Donald Trump, ripping it up and grinding it down the garbage disposal. And it's just like, the reason we cannot have nice things, middle America, it's not because of trans people. It's not because of immigrants. It's because of these psycho, greedy millionaires and billionaires, which brings me to my next question. As we move forward in a post-Citizens United world, in our party, Leader Jeffries, there is a feeling that there are corporate Democrats. And there's a feeling that you might be one of those corporate Democrats that are beholden to corporations and therefore not the right leader in this moment. You take money from AIPAC, which is the Jewish lobbyist, which lobbies for this kind of war in Iran and all of that. And so I think that kind of corporate compromise that some politicians had left the vacuum for Trump to be able to say, look at this shiny object. This isn't why you can't have nice things. So how do you personally defend taking money from AIPAC and then also able to have clarity on this administration and call Benjamin Netanyahu the propagandist that he is, and money from other corporations while trying to fight against corporate greed? Because the only person I really hear that has consistent decade-long clarity on this is Bernie. And I used to, I voted for Hillary those years ago, and I regret that now. I probably should have voted for him because he was fucking right about all of it. So tell us how you navigate. You're our leader. How do you navigate this corporate compromise that so many Democrats have?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate you asking that question because there has been a lot of propaganda, in my view, directed at members of the House Democratic Caucus in that regard. Now, let me just sort of break it down in two ways. One, you've got the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which is the entity that supports our ability to reelect frontline members who are in the toughest districts in the country and to flip red seats and turn them into blue seats. The overwhelming majority of money that is raised for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee comes from individual donors all across the country. A fraction of the support that the DCCC receives come from political action committees, just a fraction. And that's publicly available information that everybody is free to verify. As it relates to myself individually, I'm proud of the fact that the average contribution that I have received is $35. In fact, it's under $35. That's the average contribution. That's not massive corporate contribution. This is all publicly available stuff. The overwhelming majority of support that I personally receive come from everyday Americans, small dollar donors. And have I received support from pro-Israel groups? Yes. Less than 5% of the money that I've raised has been from so-called pro-Israel groups. And there, of course, are going to be constituents of mine. I represent the 9th most African-American district in the country and the 16th most Jewish, who understandably have a close relationship to Israel, not the current government,
right?
A close relationship to the state of Israel as a Jewish and democratic country. And so all of this is publicly available. And so it's been interesting that people want to create this broad brush when I actually think that I'm probably amongst the highest percentage of individuals within the Congress whose funds come from everyday Americans. Average contribution less than $35, per person. So I'm, proud of that fact. We'll continue to lean into that fact. And we also, as House Democrats, have put forth legislation to address Citizens United, which we strongly and uniformly oppose. And that was a terrible decision by the Supreme Court. And it was designed to unleash a situation where we now, for instance, have this one big ugly bill that we're fighting against, the largest cut to healthcare in American history, on top of the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. These extremists are literally trying to rip food out of the mouths of children, veterans, and seniors. And why are they doing it? To reward their MAGA billionaire donors. That's a direct result of what has been unleashed on America by Citizens United, and why Democrats are committed to unraveling this kind of situation. And we're not just talking the talk. When we had the majority, we moved the For the People Act, which is designed to dismantle this system that exists in terms of how campaigns are funded in the United States of America.
I have a question regarding, and I'll be real honest, Speaker. We have been critical of Democratic leadership in Congress because it feels like the Donald Trump administration, 10 times a day, there is something that Congress could shut down, boycott, do something in response to, other than just attack it on C-SPAN, because most people don't ever see C-SPAN. That's why our IHIP News, we try to bring those things out. But it doesn't feel like the resistance from the Democratic Party has been strong enough. And I understand we can't bring articles of impeachment because we don't have the votes. They have the majority. But it seems like there's something more that Congress could do to shut this down. I mean, starting with bringing, Elon Musk in the Oversight Committee, all that. So what can we expect is something that we can visually see in response to just the absolute corruption, horrific administration?
Yeah, well, listen, first of all, the American people are understandably frustrated, scared, frightened, angry at what has been unleashed on the United States of America. Just a flood of extremism, a parade of horribles, the daily outrage, the weekly, the monthly outrage. And it's all part of a strategy, this flood the zone strategy, where Donald Trump and the administration are trying to create the appearance of inevitability that we're running the government. There's nothing you can do about it. And you're just going to have to absorb our extremism. Nothing can be further from the truth. And we are, of course, in an all hands on deck moment. Battle them in the Congress, battle them in the courts, battle them in communities all across the country to win the hearts and minds of the American people. Now, what I would say is, because of this unprecedented assault on the economy, assault on Social Security, assault on healthcare, assault on the rule of law, assault on the American way of life, and assault on democracy itself, of course, this is an unprecedented time. It requires an unprecedented response. What I've called a more is more response. More press conferences, more rallies, more marches, more speeches on the House floor, more speeches on the Senate floor, more hearings that we as Democrats can have on Capitol Hill, as we've been doing, more hearings outside of Capitol Hill, town hall meetings in our districts, which we've been doing, town hall meetings in Republican districts that we've been doing, making sure that we are engaging in communicating via traditional media, but also social media and also new media, podcasts like this one, where I know members like Adam Schiff, former House member and current senator from California, or Sarah McBride have been on, and all of us are working hard to do. I think this is my 30th podcast or so this year.
Good for you.
And we'll continue to do it because we are in a more is more environment. And of course, that's what ultimately led Cory Booker and I to conduct a sit-in on the House Capitol steps for 12 and a half hours, where eventually hundreds of people joined us in person and millions of people watched and followed what we were trying to do in connection with the GOP tax scam and this one big ugly bill. But it'll have to be continuous and unrelenting until we can get to the point where we take back control of the United States House of Representatives in November of next year.
All right, listener, I'm just going to tell you, I hate bras. I'm all about free the boobies. But when you're on camera all the time, you just can't show up without a bra. And that's why I'm so happy that I've discovered Honey Love. I love their silhouette bra. It feels like I'm not even wearing a bra, no wire, no bunching. It's just the most comfortable non-bra bra that a person can own.
And it has great support. What I like is about the back. It smooths out the lines in the back. And I also have the super powered brief, and that is excellent for control top.
And you guys, let's just talk about the comfort. Honey Love's signature support comes from smart design, not stiff wires or bulky padding. It's all the shape and hold that you want without any of the stuff you don't. Once you try it, you'll honestly forget you're even wearing a bra. Listener, treat yourself to the most comfortable and innovative bras on earth and save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/hadit. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/hadit. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Experience the new standard in bras with Honey Love. A lot of you probably don't know this, but when I'm not podcasting, I've been an interior designer for 25 years, and furniture pricing can just be so incredibly frustrating because you find a piece that you absolutely fall in love with in a magazine, and then you go to scout it and you find it in a furniture store, and it's just incredibly out of your budget. That's why we are so happy to partner with Dupe. It is one of the most viral shopping hacks on TikTok. Millions of people have already used Dupe to save money. Let me tell you how it works. All you have to do is type dupe.com/ before any product URL, and it instantly shows you similar and more affordable alternatives. It's basically magic. How about that, Pumps?
I loved using it because it was like 80% cheaper. And sometimes I liked what I found on Dupe better.
Dupe.com really is so easy to use. Just type dupe.com/ before any product URL in your browser, and boom, it instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account required, no sign up required. It's completely free to use. Stop wasting money on brand names and start saving with dupe.com today. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Could it be because it has a sleek, spam-free site or the most in-depth school info? Homes.com knows every parent wants the best for their kids, so they're the only ones with school and district details and reviews from multiple sources, including niche. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com has 22 data visualization layers, 7 environmental layers, and allows you to search by commute and architectural factors. It's the home search you've been searching for. Go to Homes.com today for home shopping the way it should be. Homes.com, we've done your homework.
Do you have concerns about the midterms? Because I look at, what he's doing, what Trump administration is doing in California, unleashing the military on its own citizens, declaring martial law. Well, you can't have an election during martial law. Now we're going to be at war, So do you have any concern that the midterms, because of nefarious conduct of the Trump administration, will not occur?
Well, one of the reasons why we're working closely with Democratic attorney generals all across the country, many of whom are actually attorney generals in states that will be right front and center in the context of the midterm elections, along with governors and secretaries of state, is to make sure that we have the apparatus in place that is forceful to ensure that free and fair elections can occur during the midterms. Because I think it's fair to assume that this group of extremists on the other side will do everything possible to prevent elections from being free and fair. They cannot win on their ideas. Donald Trump, at this moment in time, is one of the most deeply unpopular presidents in American history. And that was the case certainly during the 100-day mark. And things haven't gotten better for him. They've gotten worse. This one big ugly bill, a recent Fox News poll had it at, I think, 38% favorability, 59% unfavorable, making it perhaps the most unpopular signature legislative bill that a president is trying to move in modern American history. So the interesting thing is that despite the daily outrage, the flood of disinformation, the fact that Donald Trump is wedded to propaganda, not truth, as he communicates with the American people aren't buying it. They're not buying it in terms of their approval of him, and they're not buying it in terms of the things that he's trying to jam down the throats of the American people here in Congress, none of which, by the way, he's managed to pass to date. So we're going to have to keep that level of intensity up across the board, both in terms of the governmental fight and certainly as we prepare for the midterm elections. What's in front of us now, we won in Wisconsin, and that was important, and we won decisively in Wisconsin, notwithstanding Elon Musk pouring $25 million into the race. We asked a simple question.
Loved it. Delicious. Right? That he spent that much money and got his ass beat. I loved it. That was just in this shit show that is living in Trump's America, those little things, just you saying that, I'm like Pavlov's dog. My mouth kind of got a little, saliva thinking, oh yeah, that was so good. And then watching him melt down in the big, beautiful breakup between Trump and Musk. But I want to play a fun game with you that we play with everybody that we have on, and it's called Had It or Hit It. And so if you like something, you'll say hit it. And if you don't like it, you'll say had it. Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it. Had it. Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. All right, this is something I think Congress needs to do something about when we have a normal president. Had it or hit it, spam calls.
Hit it.
You like a spam
You like
call?
spam calls?
No, well, hit it in terms of Congress needs to do something about it. Right? I mean, we absolutely have to do something about it. It's a disgrace. On my own phone, multiple times a day, I get these calls. It's extraordinary because sometimes, right, it's gotten to a point where I don't answer blocked calls. And there was one time I didn't answer a blocked call a couple of years ago. It was President Joe Biden. The President of the United States of America. So we definitely got to take care of this issue. I said, oh my God, I just sent the president to voicemail.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
See, yes, this is the problem, that we need Congress to act when we're not in, quote, unprecedented times. Okay, the next one is something that is just my personal, that I think the big lie, Trump's big lie is that he won the election in 2020, which we all know he got his ass beat. I think the biggest lie ever perpetrated on the American public is that Republicans are fiscally conservative and that they're good with business. I think it is such bullshit propaganda sold out to middle Americans that somehow the Republican Party is going to fight for them. So the next one is had it or hit it, fiscal conservatives.
Had it. They are completely phony when it comes to claiming to be the party of fiscal responsibility. By the way, this is not any different than the fact that they claim to be the party of family values,
Totally.
flag, or freedom, fiscal responsibility. Guess what? It's all fake. It's all fake. That's the real F word. We could use other F words as well. It's all fake. And in terms of fiscal responsibility, I mean, as was pointed out at the very beginning of our conversation, Bill Clinton actually managed to balance the budget repeatedly and created a surplus. He then handed that surplus over to George W. Bush, who got us involved in a failed war in Iraq, a failed war in Afghanistan, and massive tax breaks for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected in 2001 and 2003 and skyrocketed the debt, and then handed over a broken economy to President Obama that also included the Great Recession. President Obama took a $1.5 trillion deficit, and in 8 years, despite the broken economy that he had to navigate our way through, dropped the deficit by $1 trillion, handed over a much improved fiscal situation to Donald Trump the first time, who then proceeded to, of course, blow it. These people are fiscally irresponsible. This one big ugly bill is going to take away your health care, take away your nutritional assistance, hurt veterans, give massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors, and skyrocket the debt by north of $3 trillion. Definitely had it with that one.
Okay, had it or hit it. Speaker of the House, our nickname for him is Moses Mike Johnson, because he claimed on television that God woke him up and said, "Hey, buddy, you're Moses," which I think is bananas that you have a politician that says such a thing, because we're supposed to live in a secular country with clear-headed, logical, reasoned thinkers. So had it or hit it, Moses Mike Johnson.
Well, I've certainly had it with the notion of people trying to weaponize faith.
Agree.
As if Democrats do not believe in faith. I'm proud of the fact that I grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church. My mother took me to Sunday school every single Sunday. My brother and I were like, whoa, I mean, can we get a little bit of a break? What is happening here? But I'm glad she did it and installed that faith in my brother and I, particularly as we navigate our way through challenging times. And I'm still an active member of the Cornerstone Baptist Church. But the problem that we have in Washington, D.C., what I've certainly had it with is the notion of Republicans, like a group of Republicans. And I don't want to question the authenticity of their faith, but I will say this. You cannot go to church and pray on Sunday and then come to Washington, D.C. and pray, P-R-E-Y, on the American people the rest of the week. Pray on the poor, pray on the sick, pray on the afflicted, pray on the least, the lost, and the left behind. Pray on Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and nutritional assistance. That ain't consistent with the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is totally inconsistent with the gospel of Jesus Christ, particularly as it relates to Matthew 25 and 35.
I just want to say this. I'm an atheist, and I'm glad that my mother, like you're glad that your mother took you to Sunday school. I'm glad my mother taught me critical thinking and said the world is a big place. There isn't just this only solution for how it started and how it's going to end. Be kind to people. Don't be an asshole. Explore. And I get to be that in the United States of America. Here's where I think the Democrats need to start moving, because the Republican Party has brought religion into politics, and it didn't just come with MAGA. It has been a decades-long move. And the religious right leaves us the most vulnerable. It's how Vladimir Putin entered the United States government through the National Prayer Breakfast, because they're the easiest to manipulate, and they have an agenda that they want to inject religion into what is supposed to be a secular state. The Israeli government, they know that all of the evangelical Christians are just using them as props because they're rapture preppers. They want the Jews to be in Israel so that when Jesus comes down, he can send them all to hell, which in my opinion is the most anti-Semitic, apocalyptic fantasy one could ever have. But the religious right is always used by these groups for nefarious means. I think the Democratic approach should be, they've brought religion into it. And you said, I don't want to examine anyone's faith. And I think we need to bite harder. He brought his religion into this game, so now we are going to attack his faith. Moses Mike Johnson is a breathtaking hypocrite. He prays to Jesus Christ with those lips and then lies for Donald Trump every day to take your tax-paying money and cram it up Elon Musk's ass like that guy needs more money. And I think y'all got to fight them like that. They brought their faith into it. They're the ones that brought it to the table. Let's call them out for being the breathtaking, fake charlatan hypocrites that they are. That's the fire we need from you guys. And I'm just going to tell you, we're on, 2 or 3 times a day. We're a cheap date right now, the Democrats. We're the cheapest date on the planet. If you just fight every day, you go to, there's going to be another March, July 4th. We'll fly out there with you. Eric Swalwell's our big buddy, and we'll march and just get as many people as possible, because I believe that we can beat this, but we have to attack every aspect of these evil fuckers. And I'm sorry for my language, but this is an extraordinary time and just brings out the passion in me. And I have to cuss because these people are horrible. They're damaging our country. And Donald Trump declared people like us, people like you, people like Pumps, people like me as the enemy. It's bananas. And so I hope that we if they're going to bring these crazy stuff to the table, let's attack it. Let's start breaking the rules. That's what he did, and he got 2 terms.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. And I would say, listen, there's a reason why he's deeply unpopular. It's not like the opposition has rolled over as opposed to fighting back. And that doesn't just happen on its own. The guy was the most unpopular president at the 100-day mark in American history. Now we have to continue to bring the heat. And the righteous
and nobody came to his birthday party either.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. I really think he's wounded. That was a rough situation
right there. Couldn't have happened to a better person. But we have to continue to bring the heat.
I agree.
Right? It's a more is more situation, agree. And we're doing it with this, disgusting abomination of a GOP tax scam. It's also the reason why it's deeply unpopular. But we want to stop it. We want to stop it from happening. We just need 4 Republicans in the House or the Senate to have some John McCain level courage and actually do the right thing for the people that you represent, as opposed to doing the bidding of your MAGA billionaire donors.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Republican having courage.
Yeah,
I just don't.
But Leader Jeffries, we cannot thank you enough. I think it's so important that you and your coworkers get on platforms like this, and that we have real conversations that nobody's prepped for, that we are off the cuff, because this is a moment for all of us to come together. And my messaging, after being really mad at the Democrats for letting even Trump even get to where he could be on the ballot, I had to get over that, is we have to vote. I'm pretty progressive. I'm going to have to vote for centrist. All of us are going to have to vote for any D in the party, right? Because we're all going to have to unite to fight this, because this is our generation's fight. And I don't want to be the generation that pussed out. And it just makes me sick thinking, when I see him with all that makeup on, we talk about he can't even blend it because it's just something tangible that we can criticize. We're going to lose our country to that.
Right.
I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the fight. You're always welcome here. Tell your coworkers to come on too. We've had a lot of them on and we really like them as well.
Will do. Thank you for what you both do. Really appreciate it. Look forward to staying in close touch. And we're in this fight until we win this fight and end this national nightmare and get America back on track.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good luck at work. Have a great day at work.
Congrats again on the Thunder.
Yes! Thank you. All right, bye.
I'm just going to say, he over-delivered for me.
Yes, and I do think there are some questions, that we got out that what about Democrats taking money? And Citizens United did happen. And that's just, it's there. But I thought that his answer, maybe I thought it was about as direct as you can get.
I did too.
And so I feel like there has been a surge in fight from Democrats. When we first started talking about all this in the first, February, it was a dark, cold month, Trumpism, March. And I feel like these summer months have brought out more fire. I feel like, I feel like it's very promising that he comes on. He has no idea what we're going to ask him. And we just let the conversations go where they may go. And I know that all of our listeners are feeling, I vacillate from feeling just, oh my God, I can't believe this shit, to we're going to beat this fucker.
Right.
And so we might not agree with everything that every pro-democracy politician has to say, but we have to support the leaders that we have right now, and they're open for us nudging them to be tougher. They're open for us nudging them to be stronger. They're open to us saying, what the fuck, why are we partnering with Benjamin Netanyahu, and acknowledging the egregious war crimes and human rights violations that we are all seeing. And I have a lot of Jewish friends that are every bit as mortified as I am that is done in their name. And just like as an American, I am mortified by what Trump is doing in my name as an American. And so oftentimes we all have leaders that do evil, nefarious shit that the everyday citizens don't approve of. And that's something that I want to call on all of us to remember. You know, probably I would say, you know, the people in Iran, a lot of them, I know, I've looked at our statistics. We have people from Iran that listen to our podcast. There are gay people in Iran. Most people just want to live their life and have their friends, take influencer pictures, maybe chew out an influencer for taking too many pictures, and have this human experience. And oftentimes we all get cast by how our worst leaders define us. And right now, of course, the Ayatollah, piece of shit, Benjamin Netanyahu, total piece of shit, Vladimir Putin, piece of shit, and the grand dame, dumbest piece of shit, is Donald Trump. And so let's just remember all of our shared humanity. But, you know, we are not, in my opinion, the leader of the free world. And I think we have a lot to clean up here, and we need to keep the pressure on our politicians, the sane ones, and have conversations with them. But make sure, again, if you are politically engaged right now, follow our show, follow these politicians, promote their stuff. It is not a time to go, I'm just not into politics.
Right. I'm just not political, so I'll just ignore it. Now's not the time for that.
It's not the time for that. Pumps has spoken. Pump says, get up off your ass and go.
That's right. And we will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that. Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called Ive News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw.
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw.
That's it. That's
caw-caw.
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.
Are you looking for your next case? Pluto TV has all your favorite crime dramas streaming for free.
You're gonna need some backup.
Which means suspense is free.
Very cool.
Watch CSI New York, Criminal Minds, Blue Bloods, Tracker, FBI, and SWAT all for free.
You can't outrun this.
Someone is gonna pay for all this crime. But it's not gonna be you.
Take care of business, fellas.
Watch all the cases, all for free, from all your favorite devices.
We got you.
Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.